Welcome everyone to CEA 102, your students' health and safety. We're excited to have you with us here today. A few housekeeping items before we get started. We have lots of topics to go over. We will try to leave time to review questions at the end. Please submit your questions using the chat function. Also, please mute your mics to allow for the best experience for everyone. Lastly, we will be sending out the recording of this session and the submitted questions to everyone for reference. Please chat in if you have any technical difficulties throughout the presentation. So to introduce everyone that we have here on the call today, my name is Alex Hazelton. I'm a Senior Site Specialist here, and I will be your moderator.
Hi everyone, this is Emily Sowie. I am the Associate Director of Student Advising.
And my name is Elizabeth Cather. I'm your Director of Health, Safety, and Student Affairs at CEA. I usually go by Liz.
So for today's topics that we will be going over, transitioning to your student being abroad, health and wellness, CHP health insurance, your student safety, independent travel, and our emergency protocols.
Thanks, Alex. Hi, everyone. This is Emily. I'm here today to talk about your student transitioning to being abroad, and specifically, I want to highlight a great resource for you that CEA offers. We know that life can always change and unexpected things come up, which is why we offer CEA Secure, an optional program insurance. It serves as an extension of our standard refund policy and will allow the program cost to be refunded if one of the covered events takes place. Two of the most common are family illness or death and job loss. The cost for this insurance is $275 and can be made on your student's MyCEA account. If you have any questions, please reach out to your student site specialist.
That's a great resource, Emily. I'm so glad that you brought it up for discussion and reminded everyone that it's available. It's one of the big questions that when your student leaves to go abroad, CEA Secure, what did they maybe forget? Will their flight be delayed or on time? And even if they'll have enough money. By far, the biggest question is how your relationship with your student may change as they transition to being abroad and enjoy this experience. Developmentally, this is a time in a young adult's life, very much like when they first began walking as a small child. They leaned on you for support to take their first tentative steps, and then as they gained confidence and strength, they began to take steps independently away from you. Inevitably, they may have lost their balance, and that adventure in walking ended with a hard sit down. Maybe they even began with a run and then fell down flat. However, in that same way, the small child looked around for you or cried back to you for help, your young adult is more likely to come back to you when there is a time of difficulty when they're abroad or when they need to be consoled. And that's to be expected. We understand that relationship. The important thing is the ability to support this young adult and balance their emotional needs with the important skills they learn to navigate their own way. This will be a big challenge for many of you, especially as your students are so far away and in a foreign place where people don't know their needs the way you do. Emotionally, this will be challenging as every parent and family member has their own fears and knows their students' strengths and weaknesses. However, helping your student rely on their on-site staff as the local experts and an important resource who are in the same time zone will be helpful to their personal growth and maturity. It will also enable your relationship to move into the next phase of adulthood where they are independent, resilient, and resourceful problem solvers that you can relate to as fellow adults.
Really good point, Liz. Thanks for sharing all of that. I do want to highlight a great resource, the Family Guide, which Liz was helpful co-author of. So if you have any other questions or would like to read more about that topic, please make sure to read the Family Guide as another great resource for you. So now we're going to talk about your student's health and wellness. So as your son or daughter prepares to go abroad, it's a great time to reflect on their overall health. If they're coming off a stressful and hectic semester, and who isn't with the finals that just ended, or maybe fighting allergies before they depart, it is really critical that they are well before they leave. So taking time to eat well, watching their caffeine intake, and catching up on sleep is critical before undertaking their international journey. If your student is starting this experience feeling unwell, it may be very difficult for them to get up to speed after arrival.
I strongly encourage you to check out the CDC website for any immunizations that are recommended for your student's host country or the countries they hope to visit. It's also a great idea to get the typical college-age boosters for meningitis, maybe an MMR, and tetanus. A tetanus shot is a good idea. In mosquito-prone climates, be sure to pack an insect repellent with DEET, which is the only repellent we know to work with Zika, and in those South American climates where mosquitoes are pretty tough guys. These repellents can be expensive on site, so please, we advise you to pack them in their checked luggage rather than buy them locally. Jet lag is real, and it can take about a week for a person to adjust. So settling into the new routine and pacing themselves will be very important for your student as they transition to their lifelong location. Help them understand they do not have to see and do everything in the first week. They need to focus on adjusting to the time. Students will be doing more walking than they're generally accustomed to, and that is one way they can count on staying fit. However, their CEA on-site staff will also have fitness activities they can recommend, hikes, biking excursions, and also fitness classes, yoga, gyms for students who are interested in that lifestyle and are used to having those amenities on their home campus. All students adapt at their own speed, so you are likely going to hear and see their progress through the various stages of cultural adaptation as they get immersed in their local culture by the things they share online or their phone calls, things that are exciting and new, things that are frustrating and different, and what they're missing in the United States. Typically, you can find peanut butter abroad. They will also likely be making plans to return or travel more. So your positive reinforcement of all aspects of that experience will help them understand that it's all important and that they are making valuable memories for a lifetime.
Liz, one thing that you said, I do want to elaborate on a little bit about fitness abroad. One really great opportunity for cultural adaptation is through sports and activities. I once had a student who was a very active rower at her home campus and wanted to continue that abroad. So in her host city, she found a local rowing club where she was able to continue this activity as well as meet local friends, and really it was a unique part of her experience. Another student joined an intramural soccer club in Paris during her term. So encourage your students to ask their on-site staff about opportunities to engage in the local culture through activities that they like to participate in. There's also a great resource for cultural adaptation on your student's MyCEA account. After your student arrives, encourage them to talk with their CEA staff at their location to help understand their feelings and make sure that they feel supported. These are professionals who have a lot of experience supporting students and really do understand the challenges of the transition to being abroad. They are your student's best point of contact and really best resource for all aspects of the program, but specifically if they are not feeling well.
That's very important, Emily, and I'm glad you brought that up, especially as we now transition to talk about our health insurance that our students use abroad. All students studying with CEA have health insurance through consolidated health plans during their program dates. We commonly call this CHP. Students are not covered outside their study program dates. So if they arrive before their program starts or plan to stay and travel after their program ends, they will not have health coverage through CHP. I strongly advise finding a short-term health plan, travel health plan. These are easy to find online for those times before or after your student's study program. Again, your student's only covered by CHP during the dates of their CEA program. The plan CHP offers is a reimbursement style plan where students pay upfront for their visit to a doctor or clinic and then file a claim to get their money back. Upfront costs are fairly reasonable abroad. Due to socialized medicine, it can be 60 to 80 euros for a clinic or a doctor's visit. It's going to be more for a specialist if they need to see a specialist for a situation, less for a nurse practitioner. CEA staff can also help students make appointments and answer questions about completing the claim forms, but HIPAA rules prevent CEA staff from submitting claims on behalf of the students or intervening with a claim that is denied. Commonly, our staff will scan the forms so that students can then email and submit that claim to CHP. Those claims can take about 6 weeks to process, and reimbursements are sent directly to the student's home address. So be sure your student has their CHP card, as they will need that number to file the claims. They can print that from their CEA account. It is a task. However, unlike in the United States, they do not need to show that insurance card when they go to an appointment or receive service. They are paying out of pocket and are treated regardless of the plan they have. Another important fact, pre-existing conditions are not covered. So if your student is currently receiving treatment or a therapy, they will need to pay out of pocket for that continued care. However, a sudden reoccurrence of a condition that is stable, for example, a severe asthma attack when their asthma is well controlled, an anxiety attack when they have not had any issues, or a flare-up of their Crohn's, if they have that illness, will be covered by CHP. Students do need to bring all the medication they will need during their program, and we can assist with providing you letters to your insurance so that you can secure the prescriptions for the duration of the program. We understand that some insurances limit to 30 and 60-day supplies. If a medication is lost or forgotten, we can assist students with securing replacements abroad. However, we need to remember that brand names and country laws are different, so that not all medications may be available, and the students should be sensitive to that when they speak to their staff. You cannot mail your student refills of their prescription medications or any over-the-counter medication while they're abroad. You cannot mail drugs. It conflicts with the fact that we can fill prescriptions through the mail in the domestic United States. So remember, please don't try to mail your student any medication. A good thing to remember is because they are paying up front for services, which could include lab work or x-rays, your student needs to have funds set aside for health care. A designated credit card is a good idea. Students often do put off going to the doctor when they think that an out-of-pocket cost will hinder their other activities, like going out for social events or traveling independently. Filing claims promptly with all of the receipts and the documentation will help those monies get reimbursed quickly within the 6 to 8 weeks, and those checks can then be redeposited into the student's accounts by you at home.
Thanks, Liz. I do want to talk about, in the event of a health emergency, CHP partners with a really wonderful resource called Generali Global Assistance. The Generali is a travel concierge, and they can coordinate care for your student and cover hospital and admissions costs and care. If your student needs to return home for care evacuation, for example, benefits are also included. This is a resource, it's kind of like an international AAA for students, and it can provide other assistance as well as they travel independently. For example, finding hotels or translation services, and even updates on local issues like strikes and demonstrations. It is so very important for your student to log in to and open their Generali account when they print out their CHP card. As Liz mentioned, this is a task on their CEA account. Also, encourage them to share that information with you in the event that it is lost. Now we're going to start talking a little bit about your student's safety while they are on site. Now, no matter what information you or your student may have about their study location, maybe a restaurant recommendation or you have to have this take a photo kind of opportunity, doing additional research is a good idea. So checking out blogs of other CEA students currently studying in that location, for example, or even looking at expat newspapers, which many international cities have in English, which talk about current issues in life in that place through the eyes of an American, are two great resources to help your student prepare for their new cultural location. Please sign both yourself and your student up for the U.S. State Department's Smart Traveler Enrollment Program, or STEP for short. This provides you updates according to the countries you indicate as part of your student's travel plan. Again, this is a task on your student's CEA account, very easy to complete and a great resource for you for current and accurate information. Arrival orientations are mandatory. These will take place the first few days of your student's program. We strongly encourage them that they need to attend. These mandatory orientations give students information about safety, so we encourage that you talk to your student about attending and following up with them after to see what they heard and what they remember.
That's very important, Emily, because during those orientations, they also learn about their insurance, how to use their insurance, where to go for specific things, and they talk a lot, our on-site staff talk a lot about the experience of college students abroad. So we understand that alcohol is a part of the U.S. college experience, and for students studying abroad, it can be an exciting part of the new social scene. Even if your student hasn't used alcohol before, the attraction of going out in a new place with new friends may have them drinking. Or it may become a part of their life as they adapt to a culture that enjoys wine or has special traditions involving certain regional alcohol beverages. However, alcohol misuse or abuse can set a student up to be a victim of petty crime, having their phone stolen or their wallet stolen, or even a more serious crime like assault. Students are not aware of the easy target they present when going to clubs that cater to university students and to tourists. Many times they're accustomed to the bubble that their campus has provided them, and these are cities and clubs that are more exposed to the general population. Criminals know the areas and look for students who are alone or under the influence while at these clubs and when they leave.
CEA has been made aware of some scams targeting students and their families that I want to talk to you about. Students should very intensely guard their private information while abroad, just like they do at home in the U.S. And if you or a family member is ever contacted that your student is in trouble or being detained in a foreign country, please contact your student and CEA to confirm their safety before taking any action like sending money. We were made aware of a situation where a grandmother of one of our students was targeted after her grandson's Facebook and email were hacked, and the scammers found family information and his upcoming travel plans. The scammers told her that they were from the U.S. Embassy and that they needed $10,000 to get her grandson out of Morocco as he was being detained there.
If your student ever shares with you that they've been a victim of a crime, whether that's a petty theft like having their phone stolen or their wallet, make sure that they contact the CEA on-site staff so that can be reported. They'll receive assistance to help file a police report. Sometimes they must go to a specific jurisdiction where the crime is suspected to have happened. Those forms are usually in the foreign language, and they may need some help assisting with translation. The reporting can be time-consuming, and it's not always what students want to do, but your encouragement to help them see the value in standing up for themselves and alerting authorities to the crimes that are taking place in a specific area or targeting students is really valuable. Students should also report any crimes or problems they experience on site or in traveling independently to the U.S. consulate. CEA does not provide personal property insurance for student belongings. So do please consider insuring computers or very nice digital cameras that students may bring, just as you would at their home campus carry renter's insurance or personal property insurance. Please have your students insure their personal property. Students should not bring valuable jewelry or heirloom items that cannot easily be replaced. Again, like on campus, students always want to secure their doors and windows when they leave their apartments, and specifically use the deadbolts that are on their apartment doors. They need to respect their homestay families if that's their housing arrangement. Never bring home strangers. Make sure they let them know right away if they've lost their key, and never leave any doors unlocked to the home. Lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about our emergency protocols here at CEA. We're all aware that there are challenges of the times and the risks that we are all exposed both here in the United States and abroad. So I want to share those student emergency protocol that all students are told on site, and then it's repeated to them before any sponsored excursions or when they choose to travel independently. This appears on their travel survey. In the event of any emergency, natural disaster, terrorist threat, students are told to stay where they are or to get into a safe location. They are to contact you as their emergency contact or a designated family member, and they are then to respond to CEA any communications that we've sent out by email, by Facebook, or by text. We also ask them to follow the directions of local authorities, as CEA staff may not be with them to tell them what to do. We want them to comply with any directions from local police and fire. Now, CEA may outreach to a student's emergency contact to help us determine where the student is, and your help in providing that information about your student's location and their safety is a valuable part of our partnership with you as we are trying to account for students in an emergency. We know that you will be your student's first point of contact, and then should any cell services go down abroad or we have any trouble with communication, we know we can contact you in the United States for follow-up as a fallback.
I do want to talk about your resources in the event that your student contacts you in the event of an emergency. There is a U.S. emergency number. This is to be used. This is a 24-hour number that you can contact a CEA employee to notify us of an emergency if you are contacted by your student. That number is 1-800-266-4441. Again, it's 1-800-266-4441. Now, if your student does contact you, please give us that information by calling, but also encourage them to call their on-site staff. Their on-site staff are going to have the most up-to-date information and can help them the most quickly and effectively. I also do want to reiterate, I mentioned in CEA 101 the importance of having a working cell phone. I'm going to say it again. It is critical that students have a working cell phone that is not Wi-Fi dependent to be contacted in the event of an emergency. We do require that all students have a working cell phone during their program with either local or international service, and that they provide that number to our on-site staff within 5 days of the program starting. The CEA mandatory orientation is a great place to give the on-site staff that number.
And in that orientation, they will talk more about our travel survey, which is a simple SurveyMonkey tool that we use to reach out to students and ask them weekly, share with us where you were traveling. So many students hit the road, fly, go other places almost every weekend, and should there ever be an incident abroad, we like to have an idea of which students may be closer to the incident, which students stayed in their host city for the weekend, and then offer support and reach out to those students as we need to. So please encourage your students to always share their travel plans with you and with their CEA staff so that in the event of an emergency, we can account for everyone safely.
So to review the information we have presented today, students should take care of themselves to start healthy. It's also important to have dedicated funds for health care. Also, remember, our CEA on-site staff are there to help and should be the first person students go to for their concerns on site. Help your student manage their risk by encouraging them to use alcohol responsibly if they drink, and to always complete the CEA travel survey when they travel independently. And then last, to go over our emergency protocols one more time. Shelter in place or get to a safe space, call emergency contact, respond to CEA communications, and to follow the directions of all local authorities.
Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. This recording will be distributed via email and on our Facebook page. Remember, if you have any questions with your students' program upcoming, please reach out to CEA as soon as you can. Thank you and have a good day.